Welcome to the Deep Dive, brought to you by the Nepali Diaspora Network. This is your essential resource for news, views, and, well, synthesized insights that impact Nepalese communities all over the world.
That's right. We take the latest stack of articles, all the research, and we try to translate what's happening, the complex policy, the big infrastructure shifts, the cultural news, into clear takeaways.
Exactly, tailored for you, the listener who wants to stay informed.
And it has been, it's been a week of really conflicting stories, hasn't it?
A real duality.
Yeah. You've got this incredible high from a major sports achievement, and then right alongside it, the persistent reality of these deep structural challenges.
It's like rapid wins versus the slow grind.
Exactly. A cricket championship, an efficient city government, and then you have environmental decay, project delays that go on for, what, a decade, and systemic exploitation. So our mission today is really to unpack that duality.
And show you where the real progress is, but also where the most stubborn problems still lie.
Let's do it.
Okay, so let's start on that high note. The energy, the pride that, everyone felt. The Lumbini Lions are the Siddhartha Bank Nepal Premier League champions.
What a story. It was a sensational conclusion to the NPL's second successful season.
A huge success.
Yeah, the Lions took the title with a really emphatic 6-wicket victory over the Sudarpakyam Royals at the TU Cricket Stadium in Kathmandu.
And some of those individual performances were just breathtaking.
Oh, absolutely. You saw Dinesh Adhikari open the innings with this explosive 42 runs off only 13 balls.
13 balls, that's 5 massive sixes.
Right. And then you add in the consistency from players like Ruben Prumpelman, a spectacular hat trick from the captain Rohit Paudel. These are the kinds of moments that get global attention.
But the real story, and this is what makes it such a great metaphor for what we're talking about today, is the team's journey, isn't it?
That's the one. Last season, the Lions finished dead last. This year, they lose their first 3 matches.
And you think, here we go again.
Exactly. But then they pull off this unbelievable turnaround, 6 consecutive wins to take the title. That sheer resilience, that ability to see what's failing and then execute a focused effort to fix it, that's what brought them success.
And it was great to see the president's congratulations on social media so quickly, highlighting not just the win, but that spirit.
Yeah.
So that successful, concentrated focus, it contrasts so sharply with the slow burn crisis that needs that same kind of commitment, but has really struggled to find it. I'm talking about the threat from invasive alien species, or IAS.
Right. A totally different kind of challenge. This week saw the first ever national conference on IAS management in Kathmandu, and the findings were stark.
For anyone not familiar, what exactly are we talking about with IAS?
So IAS refers to any non-native plants, animals, or pathogens that when you introduce them to a new environment, they just aggressively harm the local ecosystem, sometimes irreversibly.
And this isn't just a small, localized problem. We're talking about a nationwide environmental crisis that's spread right across the country.
All the way from Mechi to Mahakali. It's affecting the lowlands and the high altitudes. It's damaging our unique flora, fauna, and even human life. And it puts enormous stress on the agricultural sector.
The numbers are pretty worrying, right?
They are. Nepal actually ranks 3rd among all countries globally most affected by IAS in agriculture. And what's making it worse is climate change. Experts are saying it's basically acting as a springboard, allowing these species to expand from the warmer lowlands up into fragile, higher altitudes where they have no natural predators.
So we have a clear diagnosis, and I'm sure there are strong declarations from the government, but does that turn into action? We've seen this pattern before.
And that is the core question, isn't it? It was addressed head-on at the conference. Dr. Sangeeta Rajbandari warned that despite these great-sounding declarations, implementation is just fundamentally weak.
I think I saw her quote.
It was crucial. She said, no matter how good a declaration looks on paper, it has little value unless it is implemented in practice. It needs dedicated, funded, and coordinated programs. A long-term commitment, just like the one we're trying to have for climate change.
Okay, let's pivot to infrastructure and governance. This is another area where, intentions and results can be miles apart. We are seeing a new tone, though, from the Minister for Physical Infrastructures and Transport, Kulman Geising.
Yes, he stressed there is, and quote, no alternative to terminate the contract if development activities are stalled.
That sounds like a much firmer stance.
It's a much-needed mandate against the chronic delays that have plagued Nepal's development for decades. And under this new focus, we're actually seeing some tangible progress.
The Muglim-Pokhara road expansion is the best example, right?
Absolutely. The western section has hit 59.76% physical progress. Crucially, 11 of the 12 bridges needed for that section are done.
And the deadline for that Rs 7.4 billion project is coming up fast, December 31st. It shows what a focused push can achieve.
It does. But you have to contrast that success with these deeply ingrained patterns of neglect. Look at the Mid-Hill Highway project in Jajurko.
I saw that. It's not a great story.
Not at all. The Kudusili-Kola section is only 80% complete, despite getting nearly 11 years of extension.
11 years.
11 years. When you have delays of that magnitude, the cost isn't just financial. It's a cost that local communities pay every single day, waiting for economic access and safety.
So wait a second. Minister Giesing's threat to terminate contracts is strong, but given an 11-year delay like that, does this signal real change, or is it more political posturing to make people feel better?
That's a fair question. We have heard strong words before. I think the difference now is the heightened public scrutiny after the recent anti-corruption and Gen Z movements. Giesing is responding to a real public demand for accountability.
So the proof will be in the pudding.
Exactly. If we actually see a major contract terminated, that will be the evidence we need. For now, though, there are other bright spots, like the Panchkal-Sankoshi water supply project. It's 99% complete, set to benefit over 31,000 people in Kavrapalanchak. It shows that focused delivery can happen.
That focus on service delivery is a great segue to Kathmandu Metropolitan City, KMC. They're showcasing some really remarkable, measurable wins under Mayor Balinder Shaw's leadership.
The numbers are just staggering. KMC has managed to retrieve 208 ropanis of public land.
And the value of that land.
Rs 23 billion. 23 billion rupees. That's a massive figure, and it shows the scale of public assets that are now being brought back under government control. It's a huge win.
Beyond just land, they've invested, 910 million rupees in heritage conservation?
They have, and they've installed over 13,000 electric lights for nighttime aesthetics and safety.
Which really speaks to a commitment to not just function, but also quality of life, beautification.
And they're tying it back to local economics, the focus on indigenous skills through the One Ward, One Scheme initiative. That's just smart policy. It guarantees municipal funding for hyperlocal projects, which helps preserve unique community skills right there in the city.
That KMC success story is powerful, but it also really highlights the huge urban-rural gap, especially when it comes to energy. This next bit is crucial for those of you in the diaspora who are investing back home.
Yes, the persistent energy reliability challenge outside of the metropolitan centers.
What's the core issue here?
It's a structural failure, really. Households outside the main cities often need multiple redundant energy sources. They need a connection to a local micro hydropower plant, an MHP, and they need the Nepal Electricity Authority national grid connection.
Why both?
Because the national grid supply is just so unreliable.
So if I'm, say, a Nepalese person in the UK, and I send remittance money home to start a small business in a rural village, what does this mean for my investment?
It means higher startup costs and higher operational risk. You're forced to invest in two systems just to get baseline reliability. The sources mentioned a chai shop owner who has to pay two separate meter charges every month just to make sure they can reliably heat water.
That's an extreme economic inefficiency.
Exactly. It's imposed directly on rural users.
Why does this problem persist? It seems so obvious.
It boils down to a massive disconnect. Nepal has over 3,000 small-scale MHPs operating. These could provide local stability and even feed extra power back into the national system.
3,000, and how many are connected to the grid?
Fewer than 20.
That's astonishing.
The system is designed to ignore that localized capacity. If the NEA connected even a fraction of those 3,000 MHPs, you would alleviate so much pressure and create huge economic efficiency. But the narrative is often that there isn't enough demand in rural areas.
But the lack of reliability is what suppresses the demand. People avoid using modern appliances because it could crash the unstable local supply.
Precisely. Connecting that existing capacity isn't just about electricity. It's about unlocking rural economic potential.
Well, addressing the diaspora directly brings us to another critical, long-standing issue: foreign employment exploitation, especially in the Middle East.
This remains a systemic crisis. The NRN Social Club Oman just submitted a memorandum to the ILO and the Nepal Embassy detailing severe exploitation.
What kind of exploitation are we talking about?
We're seeing workers being forced to pay 2 to 3 times the government-mandated fee ceilings. Some are paying up to Rs 300,000 just for a job placement.
And many are traveling on tourist visas, right? Which is incredibly high risk.
It is. It dramatically increases their vulnerability when they arrive. That level of pre-departure debt immediately puts them in a precarious situation.
So what are the specific demands from the NRN Social Club?
They want comprehensive reforms, stricter action against foreign employment crimes in Nepal, free legal assistance for workers abroad, a full review of the tourist visa regulations, and crucially, ensuring equal access and opportunities for women.
Okay, shifting gears a bit to diplomatic efforts. Nepal seems to be actively strengthening its global position, using both trade and, well, culture.
On the trade front, we're looking ahead to the 2026 Cambodia-Nepal B2B Business Interaction Program. It's a targeted effort to boost trade and investment, focusing on high-growth areas like tourism and digital innovation.
And then there's the very rare act of cultural diplomacy involving Nepal's unique biodiversity.
That's right. Two elephant calves, Rudrakali, who is 7, and Kagendra Prasad, who is 6, are being gifted from Chitwan National Park to a zoo in Doha, Qatar.
Is this a common thing?
It's actually Nepal's first time gifting elephants to another country. It follows a tradition of gifting rhinos, but this is a first for elephants. It's a gesture meant to strengthen bilateral relations with Qatar. They're even being sent on a chartered cargo plane, which shows how significant it is.
Speaking of global movement, we saw a massive shift in immigration policies this week. The U.S. suspended the diversity visa lottery program.
The green card lottery, yeah. That suspension is going to deeply impact pathways for illegal migration for a lot of people.
And at the same time, enforcement ramped up.
It did. We saw 75 Nepalese nationals deported in a single day, most for entering the U.S. through irregular routes. This kind of global flux just emphasizes how important the Non-Resident Nepalese Association, the NRNA, is.
And they're preparing for their 12th Unity General Convention in Kathmandu in February, I believe.
They are, after an agreement to unify different internal groups, which should help them better advocate for the diaspora.
Let's turn our attention back home to the domestic political landscape. This is where that structural stability or instability often begins.
We saw major organizational movements in the biggest parties. The CPN, UML, held its 11th National Congress.
And KP Sharma Oli was re-elected chairman.
For a third consecutive term, yes. He defeated Ishwar Pakral, and Shankar Pakral was elected General Secretary.
You know, Oli's re-election isn't just a political footnote. For the diaspora, it signals a certain stability and consistency in the leadership of a major party, which is important for foreign policy, labor agreements, things like that.
Meanwhile, the Nepali Congress is also mobilizing. They called an urgent Central Working Committee meeting to get ready for internal elections and national polls.
And we saw Sunil Bahadur Thapa resign as a presidential advisor to return to active NC politics.
Which suggests key political figures are getting ready for some major electoral contests ahead.
And all of this is happening under the interim government led by Prime Minister Sushila Karki. She's reaffirmed the government's twin focus, good governance, and successfully holding the House of Representatives election on March 5, 2026.
That election is seen as vital for restoring stability. And crucially, in response to that massive Gen Z movement that happened before, the government is accelerating victim support. The Home Ministry is classifying injuries from the protests to provide monthly allowances.
I saw they've set up a tiered system.
They have. Moderate injuries will get NPR $4,000 a month, serious injuries get NPR $9,000, and very serious injuries get NPR $18,000. It's a very targeted form of government recognition and restitution.
And the Ministry of Labor is also stepping in with employment aid.
Yes, preparing to offer free foreign employment facilitation or skills-based training for the families of those who are injured or killed. It's a crucial step to ensure those families find safe, dignified economic opportunities.
Finally, on the anti-corruption front, Nepal reiterated its zero-tolerance policy at the UN, but there was also a high-profile legal update domestically that caught everyone's attention.
That would be the butt-wall bench of the High Court, ordering the release of Rashtriya Swatantra Party chairperson Rabi Lemisham.
On bail.
Yes, on bail, equivalent to the alleged loss of Arendt's $27.48 million in the Supreme Cooperative case. The case is ongoing, but the huge figure and the high-profile nature of the suspect show that the zero-tolerance policy is being actively applied regardless of political affiliation.
Okay, before we wrap up this deep dive with a final thought, just a quick message for our listeners in the UK. If you're a Nepalese resident in the UK, you really need to know about balea.uk. It's more than just a website. It's a helpful, community-focused classifieds platform designed specifically for Nepalese in the UK. So whether you're looking for jobs, housing, local events, or trying to find or promote Nepalese businesses, balea.uk connects you to the resources you need. It really helps strengthen that vital community network, so do check them out.
Looking across all these sources, that theme of duality is just. It's undeniable. We see Nepal trying to move forward. The governance system is visibly trying to enforce accountability on delayed projects and address high-profile corruption.
Mm.
That's encouraging.
Uh,
But the long-term structural issues, the systemic exploitation of workers, the profound energy inequality, the environmental decay from IAS, they persist. And they require the kind of patient, decade-long commitment that often gets overlooked for quick political wins.
that summary really nails the complexity of the moment. And speaking of duality and long-term commitment, let's go back to those two elephant calves being sent to Qatar as a diplomatic gift.
Right. So while Nepal is projecting its biodiversity and heritage globally with this gift, the sources also highlighted a critical discussion that, travelers, tourists, and the diaspora really need to be aware of.
It's about animal welfare.
Exactly.
Okay.
Activists are strongly critiquing the domestic treatment of elephants. They specifically point to the annual Elephant Festival in Sorha.
And they detail how elephants' sensitive spines are just not anatomically built to carry heavy human loads, which leads to chronic pain. And that requires abusive training methods to force them to participate in rides and festivals.
So the provocative thought we want to leave you with is really an ethical one, a consumer one. If national traditions or tourism practices are rooted in injustice and cruelty to animals, like the abuse in commercial elephant riding, should they be preserved in the name of culture?
Or must the public, especially those of you traveling back home, demand and support only ethical sanctuary models instead? It really challenges the role each of us plays in driving the fate of Nepal's magnificent animals.
A lot to think about.
That is your comprehensive deep dive for the week. For the full newsletter, the latest updates, and all the diaspora resources, make sure you visit nepoliaspora.net. Thank you for joining us, and we look forward to going on the next deep dive with you soon.